All the Celtics trades and signings so far are now officially official. So let's unpack what's next for the Boston Celtics.
Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis. We kept the madness every game, every practice. Prime time, dapping D White on the sideline. Raining Jays, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. It's right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Your team is the Boston Celtics. I talk about them Monday through Friday. Right here. Every show is free. Every show is available on every podcasting app, and it is also available on YouTube. Get into that comment section. Share your thoughts about everything that I'm saying with me, with your fellow Celtics fans. I'm John Karalis, beat writer covering the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I've been doing a version of this job for about 20 years now. I've written a couple of books on the Celtics, so I have knee deep, elbow deep, armpit deep in this team. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app. If your first $5 bet wins, you get $150 in bonus bets on FanDuel. Today, we're looking at, in the third segment, we'll get to Al Horford's future. What's next for the Celtics, really, Anfernee Simons, George Niang, but a look at the money and all of that stuff. I know, big money talk here, but this is the Celtics are very clearly in this phase. We have to talk about it. But let's just start with the everything is official. All of the stuff that has been reported now means Kristaps Porzingis officially a member of the Atlanta Hawks, Drew Holiday officially a member of the Portland Trail Blazers, all for now. The Holiday trade had to be amended because of his medicals. They didn't say what the medical issue was, but the Portland Trail Blazers kind of squeezed the Celtics. The trade was originally for Simons and to draft 2 second-round picks. Portland kind of pulled back on that, and no more second-round picks, just a straight Simons for Holiday swap, which has an impact here because those picks, obviously they become potential players, potential two-way players, but also they could grease the skids for that next deal. You could have attached those to Niang, one or both of those, and you just don't want to dip into that stockpile. If you can add a couple more and use those in trades to facilitate some of these moves, then that would have been great. I don't know what the medicals were. I don't know what the issue was. Could be any of the stuff. Could be related to his finger. Could have been related to he had been dealing with, groin injury. Could be dealing with the residual kind of wear and tear on a player's body of his age and his, extensive experience in the NBA. Could be anything. Frankly, most of these physicals can turn something up that a team can turn around and be like, nah, we don't feel like. We saw it in the Mark Williams trade, the Lakers making the trade with the Hornets, and they turned around and got cold feet. Most of the times these physicals pass because the team wants the player and they know ahead of time, hey, there's some stuff with this guy, but teams generally don't hide stuff. They don't sit there and say, oh, geez, I hope they don't realize that he's got a torn meniscus. Like, that stuff kind of generally comes out. And if you are hiding something from somebody, the other team's like, well, you try to pull a fast one on us, we're not trading with you. And there's a lot of feeling of, everybody's trying to get over on the other GMs, and you are trying to win these trades. However, you're not doing it to the extent, unless you're maybe Danny Ainge, you're not doing it to the extent where you piss off everybody else to the point where they don't want to trade with you anymore. You have to be careful about that because you need to make the trades. Every GM, every president of basketball operations, let's just call them Pobos for whatever, work with me on that. Every one of them has to, it's the summer. I'm delirious. I've been out in the sun. everybody has to make trades. So you can't upset everybody with all of your, stuff. So the trades generally go through. I'm sure Portland found a couple of things and was like, well, let's just get these picks back. And that's just, I guess, part of the game. So the trades are official, and that means Anfernee Simons is in Boston now. The welcome tweet has happened. George Niang is in Boston now. And all of the signings, Luka Garza, Josh Minot, the JD Davison picking up his option, which is non-guaranteed, but currently still makes it as part of the roster. So as of right now, let's take a quick reassessment now that everything's official. Essentially, it's kind of weird. Almost exactly $20 million saved by the Boston Celtics. 63.1 million went out in the Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis trades out. Coming in, when you factor in Simons, Niang, Hugo Gonzalez, Luka Garza, Josh Minot, JD Davison, that's $43.3 million that was added. So I'm counting Davison as the added because it wasn't guaranteed. So the team picked that up. They signed Minot, they signed Garza, they drafted Gonzalez, they acquired Niang and Simons in these trades. So 43 million comes in. And so right now, as of this moment, the Celtics are about $300,000 back over the second apron, which means nothing. They can very easily turn around. They've got 15 spots. They've got 15 roster spots. They can turn around and decline. They could just let JD Davison go. It's not guaranteed. They easily can trade any number of these guys. Jordan Walsh, they could trade Davison, Keita, any of these small. Tillman is still under contract. Any of those $2 point something million guys can go into any number of exceptions, cap space, something for virtually nothing. And the Celtics will get under the second apron, and that will be done. So the Celtics will get under the second apron. They will sign more guys to these camp deals, these Exhibit 10 contracts. You'll start hearing about those. All of these summer league guys will have their performances, and a couple of them will get invited to camp and have their chance to hook on. So I don't expect the Celtics to do much else in terms of waiving anybody this summer. Any signings that they make, they could make more signings because you don't have to pare down your roster until you get to training camp. So they can sign guys. You can go beyond the 15, but they do have 15 roster spots filled. They are, just to go through everything, $20.2 million over the luxury tax, $12.2 million over that first apron, $330,000 estimated over the second apron. So now what's next? The Celtics still have moves to make. What can they do? How can they get down below some of these numbers? How far down below some of these numbers can they get? Let's explore that when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. It's summer sports time. So whether you want to watch some baseball, golf, tennis, Wimbledon is going on, other sports, soccer, there's a lot of soccer going on. You can follow all that action on FanDuel, and you can make every game just a little bit more exciting by getting in on the action a little bit. You can do the classic go golf by, hole by hole. You can go inning by inning in baseball. You can stack up some in-game bets, some same-game parlays. There's a lot of different action that you can get into Throw $5 here, throw $5 there, throw $5 there. If your first $5 bet hits, you can get $150 in bonus bets. So if you're new to FanDuel, new customers, you get that first $5 bet in. Make it a good one. Make it an easy one. You get that $150 in bonus bets. Let's go have some fun with it. When you sign up, you'll see the option to opt into setting a budget, setting a limit. Those tools are available for you. Please use them. I want you to have fun. If betting on sports is your thing, go for it, but do it responsibly. Set a limit. Don't go overboard. I don't want anybody to get into any trouble. I just want you to go have fun on FanDuel, bet what you can afford to lose, and then have some fun with it. There's new daily promotions all the time. It can be a lot of fun. If you're new and that first $5 bet hits, $150 in bonus bets at FanDuel. Download the app today. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA, Locked On NBA Game Night. We've got Summer League covered on Locked On NBA Game Night. We've got the big stories around the league covered on Locked On NBA. So 2 podcasts on the Locked On NBA feed. So very simple. You listen to Locked On Celtics first, make that your first listen every day. Then you pop on the Locked On NBA feed. You've got a podcast for your trip to work. You got a podcast for your lunch. And then you got a podcast for the ride home. Locked On's got you covered for all your NBA and Celtics needs. All right, let's get back into this. So the Celtics now have Anfernee Simons under contract for one more year, $27.7-ish million. Georges Niang, $8.2 million. They again are official. We've got the welcome tweets. It's kind of funny to see the Celtics, hey, the kid from Lawrence with Georges Niang. Welcome home, Georges Niang. Brad Stevens is talking on Tuesday to address the media after all of these moves. We're not talking to Georges Niang. We're not talking to Anfernee Simons. Those guys are off doing whatever they're doing. If they are still Celtics, we might talk to them on media day. But that's the first we're going to see these guys. So don't expect a big welcome thing, right? There's no big welcome to Boston planned for these guys. Like we saw Luke Cornett in his Spurs outfit, officially official. And of course, Luke, by the way, side note, still funny, still kind of in that goofy dad funny. He took the number 7 and he was asked why number 7. And he said he hopes to be 1/3 of the player that Tim Duncan was, which is just a great line. Just classic Luke Cornett. So they're going to enjoy him there, but you're not going to see that with Simons or Niang. Simons is for sure on the block. He is being shopped. And now the question is, who would take him? Now, remember, the Blazers weren't they had the opportunity to trade him to anybody if somebody wanted him, but they ended up trading him to Boston and originally agreed to send 2 second-rounders to Boston in exchange. Now, they wanted Jrue Holiday, and it works out to be a great deal for them because they don't have to give up those picks. But it is an indicator of teams weren't exactly banging down the door to get in on the Anfernee Simons business. Now, part of that is because he's going to want an extension, and where he goes will have his bird rights. And if the Celtics trade him to, let's just say, Utah, then is he really going to want to stay with the Utah Jazz? Does he? And that's going to impact how much he gets paid. But at the same time, Simons is one of those guys that the contracts for players like him are going to have to be shrewdly negotiated. So I am super curious what ends up happening with Anfernee Simons. We just saw Norm Powell go to Miami in a 3-team deal on Monday. He's making over $20 million, and he's going to want a long-term extension. He's another one of those guys. Nice players, have some flaws. Norm Powell never made an all-star game. Last season was his best chance to make an all-star team, and he didn't. He's never been all-NBA. And, how much money is he going to make? How much should he make in the second apron era? How much should Anfernee Simons make? He's making 27.7 right now. then, does he get a raise? Does he not? There are questions about his defense, his size, and all of that stuff. Clearly an offensive threat, but who is this next team? What's he going to want? And who's going to actually pay him what he wants? That's going to be the question. And that impacts where the Celtics can sign him. You're going to have to, and this actually could work to Boston's advantage, where a team's going to say, we don't want to give anything significant for Anfernee Simons. And the Celtics would be like, yeah, sure, no problem. We don't want anything significant for Anfernee Simons either. So, why not? I keep bringing up Kevin Huerter because he makes $18 million. And, if that's where the Celtics end up, then I'll take that at $18 million versus $27 million, almost 28, because you're now looking at a nearly $10 million savings, whatever. I'm not even doing the math. It's $9 million and change, whatever it is. You're looking at a significant savings. If that's the way it goes, I'd rather have Kevin Huerter on the team, and he's an expiring contract. And hey, if you turn Kevin Huerter into Anfernee Simons, hey, Chicago might be like, well, that's a much better offensive player. We could probably use it. Now they got small guards, but anyway, my point is, I don't think Brad's done flipping. And if the flipping saves you another $9 million, or you can get to that point, well, now we're talking about you saved nine. I'm just rounding down. So just say it's 9 million. You get to 3. Now you're 3 million away from the first apron. Okay. Well, now what do you do with George Niang? The Celtics have $36 million, almost $36 million in combined Anfernee Simons, George Niang money. Now Niang can go very easily into somebody's cap space or exceptions. I'm looking at teams that have the full $14+ million exception, mid-level exception. You've got Indiana. I don't know if but Indy might be like, well, this is a gap year too. They might be in gap year time and say, hey, we're going to use if Boston wants to give us one of those picks, then we'll take it. We'll take that pick from Boston and move forward with a year of Niang. Buy him out. Maybe you buy him out and let him become a free agent, and say, hey, we'll take him on and take your pick and move on. Because clearly the Pacers, they said they were willing to go into the tax for Miles Turner. Then Tyrese Halliburton gets hurt, and now they're like, well, sorry, Miles, you got to go. So they're being smart about it. They want to stay under the tax. So if there's an opportunity to maybe take on some money and then turn around and maybe they flip that money, or maybe they buy them out, and they can somehow they can make it work, then that is an option. Anyway, Miami has the exception. They're hard capped at the second apron. Minnesota has no cap. Utah has no cap. Toronto has no cap. They all have the full mid-level. Philly's not going to take George Niang back, but they have, I don't see it happening. Brooklyn has a room mid-level that they could use to take him in. There's options all across. If the Celtics can get Niang off the books for $0 and then bring Simons, turn Simons into significantly less, again, you are $12 million, 12.2 at this point from the first apron. Now, if you can get under that, hey, now you're opening yourself up to other potential trades. You really have a lot of flexibility, and that you go into next summer with flexibility, and the Celtics need that. Now, can they get all the way under the luxury tax? I don't know if they can do that. It's 20.2 million. That's going to be hard to do. If they're going to have to find somebody to take Simons for like nothing, or they're going to have to really start flipping and get to that point. They can theoretically do it. They also have like the option they can waive and stretch George Niang at $8.2 million. That puts $2.7 million of dead money on your books for 3 years. You don't want that because that is taxed. So, okay, I can hear myself saying too many numbers. Point is, the Celtics have options. They will get under the second apron. They could get under the first apron, which would also be helpful. And maybe they get under the tax. I don't think they can do under the tax, which means they'll stay in the repeater. But at least that will be tolerable. A $270 million tax bill, whatever it is, goes down to. At this point, it's if they got it down to something manageable, they could be paying like what, 20 million in luxury tax versus 80 million at this. I think it's at 80 million right now. So things are looking financially. The Celtics are doing what they need to do. They're moving into gap year. They're moving into the next phase of trying guys out. And can Luka Garza become the guy? I mentioned this yesterday. Can Josh Minot do anything? They might have an opportunity in one of these deals with Simons or Niang to bring back maybe a younger player, accomplish some of their financial goals, and get another guy in there to try out. Always worth that shot. Maybe there are some two-way guys you can try out. Always worth that shot. So the Celtics, I mean, obviously they're not going to be a real legitimate threat unless some magic happens, but they have an opportunity. Look, they'll still be a playoff team because they're in the East. They'll still be a playoff team. I don't know how far they'll go, but they will be. And we'll see what role players end up around them. We'll get some clarity on this from Brad Stevens on Tuesday. Al Horford still out there, not going to be with Boston. I think that's just clear at this point. He's not coming back to Boston. We'll talk about that when we come back. Thank you so much for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Everydayers, you know I love you. Being here Monday through Friday. Again, this show, free Monday through Friday, daily podcast for you, so you have it on your way to work, school, just waking up, taking a shower. Maybe international listeners, you're listening to it before you go to bed. Whatever it is, I'm happy that you're listening. It's going to go down to 3 days a week starting in August. So we're a few weeks away from going down to 3 days a week, which would be nice because there's just not as much to talk about. Mailbags will continue to happen. So go to johnkaralis.com/mailbag for that. And so if you're not an everydayer, if you're not with me Monday through Friday, I would love it if you subscribed. Okay, let's move to Al Horford, who, according to multiple reports, including Adam Himmelsbach of the Globe, he is considering retiring. And he's obviously also considering the Golden State Warriors. He is, people are calling it a done deal. There's a lot of people with some inside knowledge that are saying this is done. But Horford hasn't decided yet. And it is interesting that the Warriors, like, if maybe the Warriors are still trying to clear some money, and they have a Kuminga kind of issue to resolve, and maybe that's all it is. But at the same time, I think, like, we haven't even heard that Al Horford has agreed to go to the Warriors. I mean, they can come to a contract agreement. They can say, hey, if we're trading Kuminga, we give you this. If we can't trade him, we'll give you this. Like, these are our two scenarios. And if you're in, then we're in. There haven't been any reports of an agreement outside of people with some inside knowledge saying, like, yeah, it's a done deal. Now, I find that interesting because as much as, Tom Westerholm and I last week hit on something where I think Al sees value in showing his son, who is now old enough to fully appreciate the business of the NBA. I think there is some value in teaching his kid, hey, sometimes you got to value yourself and go somewhere else, and that's it. That's something that I think there's legitimacy to. Like, I think Ian Horford, the young son of Al Horford, he's going to be a really good basketball player. He's seen as a kid with some potential, and obviously Al is trying to foster that potential and treat the kid like he is part of an NBA team so he can see the business and understand it while Al is playing. So there's value to him family-wise to say, hey, I'm going to show my kid that sometimes you got to leave to get your value. Sometimes you have to consider all of these other things. At the same time, if Golden State is where you want to go, or where the option is, I don't know that that's the best. Like, you can just teach him that. You just tell him that and be like, all right, I was going to go to Golden State, but I don't want to uproot my whole family to do that, to teach the kid a lesson. It's still on the table, obviously, but look, as I've said before, his wife just announced they're going to have a 6th child at the end of this year. So the family continues to grow. Is Al going to want to take everybody out there? He's not going to just go live in San Francisco by himself. I don't think that's Al Horford's style. Is the whole family going to want to get up and go to San Francisco for one more year? Are the Warriors really the place you want to go to do this? Do you really believe that the Warriors are the team to give it that one more go? I've said Denver, if the Jonas Valanciunas situation didn't pan out. Now, it seems like he's not going to go to Greece. It seems like he is going to stay in Denver, that the Nuggets are going to force him and not allow him out of his contract. So it seems like that option is off the table for Al Horford. If you were going to go to a team, you got to go to a team with the best player. You got to go play with Jokic. Like, that's the one place that you can say, hey, we have a really good chance. The Warriors are not the worst team in the world, and they'll be a playoff team, but I don't know, man. It's Steph another year older, and another like Draymond another year older. The guys that you're counting on, Kevon Looney is gone. He's important to them. So I just feel like, yes, there's a lesson to teach his kid. But I think that's not going to be enough. Is he really going to want to go out west? Maybe he does. Maybe he does. See, if that many people are saying it's a done deal, then hey, maybe it's a done deal. I still question whether he's going to want to go that full route. But in all of this conversation, Boston is not being mentioned, and the Celtics have 15 full roster spots. They are operating as if Al Horford is not there anymore. We can ask the question on Tuesday. Maybe by the time you listen to this, I will have asked that question. Brad has talked about priorities and all of that, but things change. So we'll see. I will hopefully have some clarity from Brad Stevens about what's next. So maybe I'll do the thing where I play you Brad Stevens quotes and react to them tomorrow. Hopefully we get an opportunity to do that. So that's the plan. Although sometimes plans change because technical situations or whatever. But I will be here tomorrow with more clarity, one way or the other, from Brad Stevens. So make sure you're subscribed. You can get the show wherever you get it. It's free everywhere. You can watch the show on YouTube. You can get to the comments section there. And then I would love it if you share the podcast and tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.